I'm Josh Ellsworth with Stahls. For over 80 years, Stahls has been the leader in heat printing. We manufacture the most technologically advanced heat presses along with a wide variety of solutions for heat printing team uniforms. This particular demonstration is one part of a complete tutorial titled Decorating Team Uniforms for High School Athletics. Now, to watch that video in its entirety, you can click the link below right now. But if you have limited time and prefer to learn in sessions, then stay right here. This presentation is on decorating football uniforms. To buy any of the products featured, visit stahls.com. Go ahead and split my jersey and load it onto my heat press. The press that I'm working with is the Hotronix Fusion heat press, which makes it really easy to accommodate all different types of items. For football jerseys, I have the standard 16 by 20 inch platen on, which is a perfect fit for doing number combos and names, etc. So I'm going to make sure it's all loaded on here. And then I'm going to go ahead and preheat the garment to remove the moisture and wrinkles. Anytime you're dealing with team fabrics, polyesters, they tend to hold a lot of moisture, so you want to make sure that you preheat the garment in order to help release some of that moisture and get a nice pressing surface where you're going to get really durable adhesion. Now I want to explain something to you a little bit more in depth. So here's the CAD cut name that's going to go on the back of the jersey out of thermofilm. You can see we weeded that, and I can position it here on the garments, and everything's pre-spaced. Now you can order pre-cut letters and individually line each individual letter up without having a vinyl cutter. I think that's a little bit labor intensive, and it's a more expensive way to decorate the garments. However, I think the pre-cut numbers are a great way to decorate garments cost effectively, because you're literally having to line up only one or two numbers on the garment. Want to make sure you have the right size, right? That's one of the key things too. For football jerseys, the NFHS mandates that they be at least 10 inches high. So we've ordered these die cuts 10 inches high. You can do them 12 inch, but for some of the slimmer cut jerseys like you see here, the 12 inch tends to be a little too large and start to go over some of the seams of the shoulder, which doesn't create a nice looking or durable application. But this is really cost effective just to lay these out. And then the NFHS also says you need to have a minimum of a 1 inch gap between your name and number. It can be more. And you'll want to set whatever your gap space is going to be for each and lay it out. You can create an alignment grid or a tool or use a T-square to help with this, but ultimately you want to have your numbers centered. Here's the tag. I have the center line running down with the tag, and then I'm also going to make sure my name is centered as well. Something important is to make sure that you cover your numbers with a cover sheet. Otherwise they'll stick to the top of the heater because they don't have this plastic layer in between. And with thermofilm, I'm just going to press it down for 6 to 8 seconds, 330 degrees, and I'll peel the backing hot on the CAD cut name portion. And it's as easy as that. We've completed the back of the jersey. That's going to be very durable. One reason I chose thermofilm, I think I mentioned earlier, it's a little bit thicker. It's about 190 microns thick. And for football in particular, it's very good because it's the thicker, tougher material is very abrasion resistant. So it's really good for a contact sport. And still, even though it's thicker, it still feels really good on the garment. It's our most popular by far for athletics. In addition to that, as I'm pressing the front, I'll tell you a little more about thermofilm. You can see I'm going on white on a blue jersey here. It could very easily be white on a red jersey, whatever. But polyesters have the tendency to want to migrate, which basically means that the dyes in the polyester fabric want to release and come up through the lettering that you're putting on there, whether it's heat applied or screen printing. Thermofilm is thick enough that it inhibits dye migration. So it's kind of like the equivalent of a low bleed ink in screen printing. So it's a really good choice for any polyester fabric that may want to give you issues. So now the NFHS says a minimum of an 8-inch number on the front of the jersey. So I'll line those up. And align your team name. Once again, covering the number with the cover sheet. Thermofilm 6 to 8 seconds. Peel the backing. And that's pretty fast. We have a completed jersey, front and back. Now, the rules and regulations just state that you need to simply center the number horizontally and vertically. Obviously, this part of the jersey will be tucked in, so that is a perfectly legal jersey. We used a varsity font. It's really simple to create. The die-cut numbers are very inexpensive. You can look that up on Stahls.com, and you can custom cut your own names with a vinyl cutter. Now let's move on and show you something different where we'll actually step it up a notch on a football jersey. So as you can see, we have a lot of jerseys to cover today, but sticking with the football and stepping it up a notch, let me fish out one that we've pre-created here. Now we're going to do a white jersey. And the thing with the pre-cut numbers is they're good if you want to go with one of the fonts that are available. But if you want to do a custom font, or in this case I'm going to add a reflective element to the design, then that's where you're really going to leverage the vinyl cutter and cut it all yourself. So with the vinyl cutter you can kind of step up your designs. And once again, since it's football, I'm dealing with thermofilm here. I'm just going to start weeding the design that I've cut. And although I'm doing simple numbers, since I needed the reflective outline that will weed momentarily, showing you how to do a 2-color, I needed to cut them myself so it registered perfectly in the application phase, that you'll see. These were just the little test cuts that I had done. Get them off of there. I'll trim these designs apart in a second. And heat transfer film CAD cut material comes in a variety of styles. I've talked about thermofilm. This is 3M reflective, which is just a special effect heat transfer film. And so you just need to dial in the cutting down force and the blade extension on the vinyl cutter accordingly to start accommodating different thicknesses. It'll be important that you understand how to do that with your cutter, because I'd imagine that you're going to want to get into some of these special effects, and not only that, you're going to want to get into more than one style of film. So you're going to want, a lightweight film, something like that. And when things are pre-spaced, it's kind of nice because your numbers are all in perfect registration, so you don't have to manually line them up either. We'll load this jersey on the press. Once again, what's the first thing we need to do is preheat to remove the moisture and wrinkles. Centering the number. And then centering the name. I'm going to go ahead and tack this down just for a few seconds. I don't want to press it for too long because I don't want the bottom layer to shrink up a lot and make it tough to align the foreground. This is really neat. If you saw the Boise State uniforms, I'm not sure if they're like that as you're watching the video, but when Nike first came out with their Pro Combat style jerseys, Boise State used a lot of reflective elements in the design of the jersey, which is kind of where inspiration for this was taken from. And now I'm going to leave the name bar, the name just in reflective by itself, but I've cut a foreground in black for the number, which you can see it just positions right over top. That's because I designed these together and cut them independently of another, so they line up exactly. I don't want the reflective name bar to be exposed directly to the heat, so I'll cover that. And then I'm going to press them all together for the recommended time, temperature, and pressure. In this case, the 3M reflective that I'm using needs a little bit more on the time, so I know thermofilm can take that, so I'm going to give it 15 seconds together before I peel. And then remove the backing, and that's on there to stay. Now, something you'll notice with this heat press and when you're doing mesh jerseys, this press is threadable, which is really nice for getting rid of some of these seams in different areas, but it's also nice when you have open holes in the jersey. Obviously, if I just laid this jersey to decorate the front like this and press that, the adhesive from the film is going to go through the mesh holes and stick the jersey together. So if you don't have a press like this, you may want to buy one, but if you don't want to buy one, you can get things like Teflon pillows like this that you can actually insert into the jersey each time before you press it to prevent the two sides from sticking together. And I'll go ahead and thread this on. Once again, the first thing I need to do is preheat on this side because I haven't done that yet. And I'll grab my combo for the front of the jersey. I've done a small 1-inch team name on this one. Instead of on the last one, I did it a little bit larger. Tack it for a few seconds. Take my thermofilm and line it up. Once again, I'm adhering to the rules, which says a minimum of an 8-inch number on front. For football, when you're doing a 2-color, it calls out that you need to have a minimum of a 1/4-inch offset, which means the amount of the secondary number that's showing. And also your main body of the number has to be in direct contrast to the jersey. You know, I can get by with having the name being a similar color to the jersey, but the main body of your number has to be a contrast. Also for football, starting in fall of this year, 2012, the away team will be required to wear a white-bodied uniform. In basketball, it's the exact opposite. The home team is required to wear a white uniform. Once again, that's on there to stay. Imagine how that'll look in a under the Friday night lights. It's going to be a really sharp looking jersey. And let's show you how to do the shoulders. I've went ahead and cut the shoulder graphics. see what tools I have here. For the shoulders, I don't have an interchangeable platen for this press to do the shoulders, but you can get a custom platen that would be a little thinner that this could actually thread on. The 11 by 15 is a little bit too large, so I'm going to use a pillow or pad. We'll just kind of operate on the fly and see which one looks better. You can do a sleeve application or shoulder application, which a shoulder application is called like a TV number. When you bring in this, once again the extra bulk's nice because I can kind of tuck this underneath. When you bring in this extra thickness onto the heating space, you are going to need to back off on your pressure on your heat press. It's going to raise the top platen because I need to dial in the pressure for this particular thickness. Once again, preheat. Now I have the pressure dialed in. I want to be able to see the edge of this so I can line it up. Simply position that with an understanding of where the opening of the sleeve is so the number is reading correctly. And I'm going to do it all one hit for 15 seconds since it's a simple single color graphic for the top shoulder area. Once you hit the neckline and above, there's not a whole lot of restrictions with what you can do. Although for the body of the jersey, this number would be illegal, but for the shoulder, you can do this. Which is because it's a really thin outline and it's a similar color to the jersey. So let's go ahead and do the other shoulder. And these are all additional applications that you're selling to a customer, to the high school, and basically charging a premium for every additional location. If they want TV numbers, it's a good way when you already have a client to make more profit on a job. A hat press is another good way to accommodate shoulders. So if you have a cap press, you can set up your heat press station to do the front designs and your hat press to do these additional placements. And we have a completed garment, so let's take a look and compare these two jerseys for football.